there, it's Lara here with your weekly Witchy Wednesday astrology forecast, and this time it's for the week of January 23rd to 29th, 2019. So, how are you feeling after the eclipse? We're in the eclipse aftermath right now, and that last eclipse we just had on the weekend, late Sunday, early Monday in Leo, was pretty intense, and we're still feeling that energy. That is the most intense this eclipse season in general, but particularly that last one. We had one on the 5th, and then we had this total lunar eclipse in Leo, and marking the last eclipse in Leo, right? That's the last in a cycle for a while. And I spoke all about that in last week's video, and I spoke to where this energy was happening specifically for each sign. So if you missed that, make sure you go back and listen to that, because we're still under that influence, right? We're still riding that wave. We have sort of passed the peak of intensity, and now we're kind of sifting through whatever has transpired for us. And so if you want to know more about that, then go listen to last week's video. But generally, because that was the last eclipse in that cycle, we're going to see that energy starting to wane and settle. But, it's not going to happen overnight. So keep that in mind, right? Personally, I mean, oh my gosh, I have heard so many people talking about how intense this was for them. So I know that I'm not alone in this experience. There was all kinds of things, just in terms of, well, our furnace went out, so we had, no central heat for a couple of days in the middle of the worst cold snap we've had in a long time. We've got appliances breaking down. We need to get a new vehicle, which is something that we've known for a while, but we just we haven't been able to do it. Things have just been so busy and literally haven't had the opportunity. And then a lot of, I had the eclipse happening personally in my 12th house, which is, the house of the unseen, our subconscious, among other things. You've heard me refer to the 12th house before, if you've been around for a while. And so there's been a lot going on for me, on a very internal level. And so that's been tricky. It's been difficult, truthfully. So looking forward to these energies waning. But of course, in astrology, there's never a dull moment, really, right? We do have times of more intensity, and then times where things are a little bit, the waves are a little less turbulent. And so this week we have some good stuff happening, and then moving towards the weekend, it should be a little quieter. In general, what I want to say to you before I forget is that January is one of the most intense months of the year. So we're kind of getting it over with now. That's not to say the rest of the year is going to be easy sailing, but the real intense stuff is happening this month. And so, we're kind of getting to the end of that ride. So hang in there, basically hang in there. And before I dive further here, of course, I want to say thank you for being here and watching these videos and supporting me in any way you can, whether that be, liking, subscribing, sharing. I love it when people comment and ask questions, or ordering a personal reading, which you can do through my website. The link is below. Connecting, following me on Facebook and Instagram, and there will be other ways moving forward in the future. But for now, that's that. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Okay. So earlier in the week, and this is something I didn't really speak to in last week's video because I really concentrated on the eclipse, right? So early in the week, we had Mars in Aries squaring Saturn in Capricorn. And so, you know, if you've been around before, that a square is a conversation of tension. It's a dynamic conversation where something's got to give, right? The energy needs to be released. And that can happen consciously or unconsciously. Consciously is always better. So the point that I'm trying to make here is in some area specifically of our lives, and that would be wherever Mars or wherever Aries is sitting for you in your chart. So the conversation is happening between Aries and Capricorn kind of thing, right? Because that's where Mars and Saturn are. So wherever those two signs sit, whatever houses they're in for you, is kind of where this tension is happening. So the thing is there, so there's this area where it's like, you know, there's lots of work. We may feel fired up, but there could be obstacles kind of in the way and delays that have happened. And just know that, you know, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Know that this too shall pass, and that ultimately hard work pays off, right? So just keep at it. Try not to get too frustrated, and things will work out. And it's actually, there's a beneficial conversation happening between Mars in Aries and Jupiter meeting up with Venus in the sky. So Jupiter conjunct Venus, which was exact yesterday, but that energy is with us all week kind of thing. And so I'm going to speak to that at the end of the video, and I'm going to talk about where this conjunction is happening, Venus conjunct Jupiter for each of us. And there's going to be another piece of that puzzle involving the Asteroid Ceres, which I'm going to get to in a minute. So before I do that, before I show you the chart and talk about a couple of other things, I'll let you know where the moon is, right? I always like to do that. So the moon right now, as I'm recording this video, is in the sign of Virgo. And so we may be, when the moon's in Virgo, it's kind of a good time to kind of get the daily tasks done. It's a good time to investigate, to research, to check the ticky boxes, to organize and, you know, plan what we, on the sort of shadow end of that, it can be a time of, you know, where we're worrying and anxious and getting caught up in sort of negative thought spirals. So, you know, watch for that. But generally a good time to be, you know, industrious and productive and get things done when the moon's in Virgo. And then the moon is moving into Libra on Thursday, entering Scorpio early on Sunday, and then Sagittarius on Tuesday. So that's the moon this week. And then on Thursday, the 24th, so that's tomorrow, I'm recording this on the 23rd, right, Wednesday, Mercury is shifting signs. So Mercury is moving into Aquarius. Mercury has been in Capricorn, and now moving into Aquarius, and will be in Aquarius until February 10th. And so Mercury is the planet of our communications, right? Our thinking, our intellect, the planet of the mind, our sort of daily communications, and our he is known as the messenger god. So exchanges of information, the gathering and disseminating of information kind of thing is what Mercury rules, right? And so when Mercury's in the sign of Aquarius, then our thinking can be more outside of the box kind of thing. It's a time when we are open to new knowledge, seeking new information, expanding our horizons, new ideas, a time of innovative thinking, right? Mercury in Aquarius as an energy. So I have this placement in my own personal chart. So my Mercury sits in Aquarius in my chart, right? So it's always easier for me to talk about placements when I have them personally in my chart, or if I've seen them a lot in other people's charts. But just because I'm more obviously intimately connected to that energy, I have almost 50 years of experience with that. So Mercury in Aquarius is like non-linear thought patterns, right? It's connecting the dots in a non-linear way. So it can seem random to some people, but it's not if you're inside the mind of a Mercury in Aquarius. So it's like this, picture sort of a giant network, a giant web, almost like the neurons in the brain, right? And so it's like these collection of images, of concepts, of ideas, information, seemingly unrelated. But Mercury in Aquarius has this ability to sort of see all of these and then sort of pluck out things that relate to each other, right? So, like tapping into the collective consciousness and sort of pulling out ideas that relate, that have yet to be conceived of. So it's like looking at, some big web of information, and it happens very quickly, right? It's and grabbing something over here and something over here and going, oh, these two things actually relate to each other. And this is how they connect, kind of thing. And that can be how sort of insights and aha moments and new innovations and that kind of thing happen, right? So the other thing with Mercury and Aquarius is they're quick thinkers. And I mean, there can be other things that happen in the chart that mitigate this, but in general, this energy is fast. And so there's this tendency to kind of get bored or zone out with long drawn out explanations, right? It's kind of like, okay, just get to the point sort of thing, because Mercury in Aquarius picks up on things pretty quickly. They're a quick study. Also, Mercury in Aquarius can be very opinionated. Hello, have you met me? If not, well, you'd know that about me. But also, there's this ability to be unbiased, really, and to be able to kind of see various sides of the argument, right? Or the story. Kind of like Libra, but the difference is that Mercury in Aquarius will then pick a side, kind of thing, or a stance. It's a fixed sign. It's a fixed energy, Aquarius, right? So whereas Libra energy may sort of stand more on the fence and be like, yeah, well, everybody's right, kind of thing. Mercury in Aquarius sees the big picture. It sees all sides of the argument, but then it hones in on one and goes, yeah, but this is right, kind of thing, or this is the truth, more accurately would be the way to describe it. And so, but the thing is so it can hold fast to this notion of the truth or right, but then when new information comes in or is collected, there's an ability to go, oh, okay, well, maybe that wasn't right, maybe this is right, and then hold fast to that. So it's that kind of energy. Can also, we can be a little more kind of abrupt in our communications, a little bit eccentric in our thinking, individualistic, but tuned into the collective, kind of. Also, Mercury in Aquarius is very has this tendency to play devil's advocate, to be the provocateur, kind of thing, the change agent, right? And so at this time, our communication and our thinking can be more objective. It can be, we have the potential to kind of liberate our thinking right now, right? Aquarius is the sign of the liberator, ruled by the planet Uranus. And so we have this opportunity over the next little while to kind of think about things in unique ways. Um, and our communications tend to be less planned and more spontaneous, less methodical kind of thing. And we may get these massive downloads of information. And then we have to kind of weed through them, right, in a meaningful way. Or we may see connections between things that we had not seen before. Um, there's a bit of a rebellious streak to Mercury and Aquarius. But Mercury likes being in Aquarius. It's comfortable there. It's air energy. It's kind of compatible energy, right? And Mercury is fast paced, so it likes the fast pace of Aquarius. So, all in all, not a bad time right now. And I think if we look at what's going on out in the world, we could all use perhaps a little bit of this type of ability to see the bigger picture and connect the dots and shift our perspective. As long as we don't kind of harness that shadow side of really hanging on to tight to our beliefs and what we see as, the truth kind of thing. So that's Mercury in Aquarius, again, happening from Thursday until February 10th. And then this Friday, now let me just preface this by saying, I sometimes, but not often, talk about the asteroids. And that's because I'm really interested in them, but I'm still learning about them as well. And also because there's just always so much to talk about, right? So what I do often is when there is not like a major event, like a full moon, new moon, eclipse, whatever kind of happening, then, and if something major is happening with one of the asteroids, then I tend to bring that into the conversation, and that's what I'm going to do today. So on Friday, Asteroid Ceres, Ceres is like known as a dwarf planet. So some people think that Ceres has as much impact on the chart as Pluto does. And Pluto has a lot of impact. Small planet packs a big punch kind of thing. But so Ceres is moving into the sign of Sagittarius and going to be there until mid-November of this year. So for like 10 months, we're under the influence of this energy, right? Ceres is the goddess of the harvest and of agriculture. In mythology, she is the mother of Persephone, and she is the sister of Jupiter or Zeus. So she's like Mother Earth, right? She's like the Earth Mother in our chart, Mother Nature, if we think of that archetype kind of thing. It speaks to how we are nurtured, how we feel nurtured, how we nurture others. It's about our relationship to food, to clothing, to those basic needs, right? And like the basic needs that sort of allow us to feel taken care of and nurtured. Ceres is associated with mothering, with parenting, with tending the earth, with how we are nurtured, like I mentioned. Our first experience of care as infants, which is either very, physical or perhaps lacking in that, right? Physical nurturing, or harsh. That can play out in many different ways. So, but basically, that's what I mean. Our first experience of nurturing as infants. She speaks to fertility and the life cycle in general, and she can shed some light on our own mothers. This is an interesting concept to me, and it's something I don't know much about, but from what I've read, the Ceres placement in our chart can speak to, we can get some sort of insight into our own mothers, their emotional life, their physical life kind of thing. And something I pulled from a site called Cafe Astrology on Ceres, I'll just read to you. It says Ceres is a dwarf planet and rules food, agriculture, transitions in a female's life. So the life cycle really, but in a feminine way, right? The asteroids tend to be more feminine energies in general. So back to what I'm reading here, nurturing, motherhood, and family relationships. With Ceres, there is a love of what is simple, natural, and good for you. There's also a strong need to nurture and protect, as well as to treat other living beings, including animals, with respect. So when I think of the energy of Ceres, I feel like she's this blend of, just to kind of relate it to something that may be a little bit more familiar. She's this blend of Virgo and Cancer energy. Kind of just to put it simply, so that if that gives you a sense kind of thing of what Ceres feels like, I guess. So specifically in Sagittarius, where Ceres is going to be from Friday for the next 10 months, Ceres nurtures kind of like, I have a few examples that I came up with here. So like the kind teacher, or like the grandmother, the grandmother who taught you how to bake and how to sew, and who imparted her wisdom while you learned from her in the kitchen kind of thing. Or in the garden, maybe. Or nurtures like the trip you went on when you felt at home to wherever it was that you traveled to, right? It was a really nurturing experience, that travel experience. Or maybe like the mom who does all the sports with her kids, right? Coaches the kids' soccer team, is involved in all of that, and does the downhill skiing with the kids, and the tennis, and is the hockey mom and all of that kind of thing. So basically, Ceres and Sagittarius nurtures through knowledge, through wisdom, through adventure. So that's putting it simply. Now, so Ceres is moving into Sagittarius, and then we also have Venus meeting up with Jupiter in Sagittarius. Now, this conversation happened yesterday, Tuesday, but it's still there, and it's still very close. They're very close to each other for the remainder of this week, kind of thing, into the weekend. And so with Jupiter conjunct Jupiter conjunct Venus is a lovely aspect. It's like luck, abundance, growth, expansion, through love and resources and values, that kind of thing. So it's that energy coming together of Venus and Jupiter, right? So first of all, I'm going to show you the chart. Sorry, I'm a little spacey here. I'm going to show you the chart. There's a lot on this chart today because I put the asteroids on there because I wanted to show you Ceres. So it's generally a little less busy than this, but I won't point everything out to you. That's overwhelming. So the sun is in Aquarius, right? The sun has moved into Aquarius. Now we're in Aquarius season. And then we've got, let me just look this way. It's so busy. I'm having a hard time seeing. There's Mercury up there, and very light yellow. And so Mercury is going to be moving into Aquarius, right? As I mentioned, he's in Capricorn right now, moving. Well, Mercury's not really a he or she. That's a conversation for another day. But anyways, Mercury is moving into Aquarius, and then we've got there's Saturn in Capricorn squaring Mars down here in Aries, right? So 90-degree angle there between those two. And then we've got Ceres. There's the symbol for Ceres. Looks like a sickle, right? And right at the end of Scorpio and about to move into Sagittarius for the next 10 months. And then we have Venus right there in Sagittarius, right beside Jupiter in Sagittarius as well. Okay, so those are the things that I'm speaking to right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to going through each of the signs, and I'm going to speak to Ceres into Sag, and Venus conjunct Jupiter in Sag, because this is all happening in Sagittarius, right? Wherever Sagittarius sits for you in your chart. So, and this is making a trine, this Venus conjunct Sag is making a trine. So a nice conversation of ease to Mars in Aries. So even though Mars and Saturn are having a bit of tension, Mars is in a positive conversation with Venus and Jupiter. So this is all speaking to, first of all, the Ceres and Sagittarius piece is, you know, that nurturing energy. So if you need to go back and listen to what I said about Ceres, do that before you listen to your sign, because that's the energy that is being brought to this area of your chart, right? To the Sagittarius area of your chart for like the next 10 months. So you might want to, you know, have a sort of a solid idea of that before you jump to your sign. And then the Venus conjunct Jupiter thing, which is a shorter term conversation, but it's happening right now and this week, the rest of this week. That is speaking to, you know, sort of luck and expansion and growth and optimism in matters of love and money and values and self-worth and resources. So I'm going to start going through the signs, but before I do, I want to remind you, listen to your rising sign first. And if you don't know your rising sign, if you have a reading with me, then you will have that information and you will have your chart so that these readings make more sense to you, these videos, because I explain all of this in the readings. And or you might know your own chart, you know, you might have drawn that up yourself. Somebody asked me last week, I think it was, what I use to draw up charts. I have a professional program, but there are places online that you can do that as well for yourself. And you might have had a reading from another astrologer who's given you a chart. So point is, listen for your rising sign first, because when we do these general forecasts, that will be the most evident or obvious usually. And then listen for your sun sign. That will give you another layer of information. And then if you listen for your moon sign as well, that can tend to give you an idea of how this energy is playing out on more of sort of like an internal or emotional level for you, right? Less of the tangible kind of thing. Excuse me. All right, so Asteroid Ceres into Sagittarius and Venus conjunct Jupiter through the signs. So wherever Sag is sitting for you, right? Beginning with Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon. So this energy of nurturing, so that's Ceres, right, is happening, and this element of sort of luck and expansion and growth and optimism is happening for you through something that has to do with teaching, learning, adventure, travel, connections with foreign cultures, through expanding your beliefs, expanding your horizons and your worldview. So this is happening in your ninth house, right? And that's what the ninth house rules. Sagittarius sits in the ninth house for you, Aries. And so all of this energy is happening there. Now, you know, there may be some tension or blips because of that Mars Saturn thing going on, but just stay the course, and you should get a sense this week of something positive happening in that area of your chart for you. So those ninth house things that I just mentioned. Okay, Taurus, this sort of nurturing luck, love, you know, energy is happening through, it's happening in your eighth house. So this happens through intimate connections, you know, deep, very close connections. Maybe where we are, like, through our connections that, like, the way we get really, really intimate with people is through being vulnerable, right? And so any kind of vulnerable situation is the eighth house. And also through other people's resources. So maybe, you get some windfall through, I don't know, it's not really tax time here yet, but through like an insurance payment or an inheritance or something like that. Um, Potentially even a lottery win. Now, that doesn't mean I'm telling you to go out and spend all your money on lottery tickets. Don't think that. I'm just using an example. But other people's resources. Also through diving deep into your own psychological healing, like into your own psyche. So that could be through therapy or some other modality, right? That helps you really heal on a very deep level. Astrology, even, can have a really positive impact on you right now. And that can help you feel nurtured as well. Okay, moving on to Gemini. Gemini, this is happening for you in your seventh house. So this nurturing feeling, this luck, abundance, growth, expansion, optimism, right, is all happening through your close one-to-one relationships specifically. So it could be like there's a partner, a close partner, your significant other taking care of you. Help you feel nurtured. You feel very lucky in that way. That relationship is growing and expanding, or vice versa. You're taking care of that other person in some way, right? So blessings through partnership essentially is what's going on for you, Gemini. Somebody close to you is having that nurturing impact on you and helping you feel more optimistic, or there can be some sort of lucky event or growth and abundance happening through your close partnerships. Okay, moving on to Cancer. Cancer. So this is happening in your sixth house. So basically, Cancer, the daily grind can start to feel a little bit more nurturing, a little bit easier and more optimistic. So your health and wellness practices and routines, right? How you care for your body, that it can feel better, more luckier, more like you're growing in this area. Um, you're more optimistic, right? And feeling more nurtured. You're nurturing yourself perhaps more in this way, or others, right? On the day to day. So it's like taking care of business on the day to day. That can feel really good right now. Blessings and good fortune through your daily routines, through your health and wellness routines, through even the service, and how you're in service to others. Like your unpaid work that you do often falls into this category. So that's for you, Cancer. And moving on to Leo. So, Leo, for you, this is in your fifth house where all of this is going on. Sagittarius sits in the fifth house for you. So, you're having that sense of nurturing all those Ceres related things, right, that I spoke to. And if you didn't listen to that, go back and listen to the introduction. Um, so, and also the Jupiter conjunct Venus. So, luck, expansion, growth, abundance can come through your children or children that you work with, children you're associated with. It can come through your inner child, right? Nurturing your inner child. It can come through your creativity in some way, through hobbies, through fun, through play in general. So that where you're having a real feel good time right now, Leo, is through those things. And so, that's really nice for you. And that nurturing kind of energy is with you, with Ceres being in Sagittarius until right through to November of this year. So enjoy that, Leo. And moving on to Virgo. Virgo, this is happening for you in your fourth house. So all of this good fortune, expansion, optimism, growth, and the nurturing energy as well of Ceres is in your area of family, of home, of your place of living. So home can feel really good for you right now, and the place that makes you feel most nurtured, and where you want to nurture others as well, right? So it's a good time for making your home feel more comfortable and more harmonious. And luck can come through that area. So maybe like, the sale of one property allows you to buy a new home that feels really good and comforting and nurturing. So just in general, positive things are happening in terms of your family, your tribe, your roots, your place of living, potentially even relation to some kind of mother figure in your life as well. All right, moving on to Libra. Libra, this is happening in your third house. So all of this nurturing energy, this luck, this growth and expansion and optimism is happening in the area of life that has to do with your daily communications, with publishing, marketing, with your thinking processes, with short distance travel like commutes, short trips kind of thing, day trips, weekend jaunts, that kind of thing. Also, relations with your siblings and your cousins and your peers. So, positive kind of optimistic communications and interactions on the day to day and in your close kind of community, even with neighbors. But like I said, through siblings, and other extended family. It's a good time to take sort of a short trip right now. That can feel really good for you. So, something to consider for you, Libra. Alrighty, moving on to Scorpio. Scorpio, this is happening in your second house, right? So, this sense of nurturing. So, being nurtured or nurturing others. Again, all those Ceres things that I spoke to, make sure you listen to that intro. That's all happening for you over the next 10 months in the second house, because that's where Sagittarius sits for you. Also, this kind of hit of good fortune, of expansion, of growth and optimism is happening in the area of your finances, the money you make, your value system, your self-worth too can be impacted here in a positive way. Your resources, the skills and talents you use to make your living, right? To support yourself. So there's potential to make money through those things. An opportunity there for you, Scorpio. And it could be like unexpected resources coming to you, or it could also be spending, you're spending money, but on something that will have positive results, that will feel good. My husband's a Scorpio. We spent a chunk of money on our furnace this week, but you need heat, right? It helps you feel comfortable, helps you feel, nurtured, cozy in your home. So anyway, just a small example, but it could be really good opportunity for you, Scorpio, in terms of, your resources, your money, your values, your self-worth. All right, moving on to Sagittarius. Sag, wow, all of this is happening in your first house, right? So the house of self. Your self-interests. This is a powerful transit for you, Sagittarius. So if you're Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, even to a lesser degree, Sagittarius moon, if you have lots of planets in Sagittarius. So this nurturing energy is really with you right now. And this sense of luck and abundance and growth is happening in the area that has to do with your physical appearance, self-care kind of thing, how you're perceived, how you approach the world, right? How you're seen, how you present yourself, your first impression kind of thing, your self-image. It's a lucky time for you if you're focusing particularly on sort of the higher vibrations of Sag energy, right? So what I mean by that is you're not kind of overdoing it, right? Sag can have that tendency to kind of be a little bit over the top. And so just make sure that that's not the case. There's that saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of thing. But generally, this is really good, positive, optimistic stuff here for you. So that's awesome. Capricorn, this is happening in a more hidden place for you in the 12th house. So this sense of nurturing, this growth, expansion, luck is all happening in that area of life that is unseen. So it's like how we relax, how we spend time in solitude and introspection. It's our unconscious. It's our connection to spirit, our spirituality. It's also has to do with our self-sabotaging behaviors too. So this could be a good time to tackle a bad habit, right? Or any kind of sort of unconscious behaviors that you default to, even an addiction. Luck and opportunity and growth and expansion and nurturing can come through some kind of institution. Sounds weird, I know, but like a hospital, a long-term care facility, a church, a spiritual retreat center, something along, even a prison, something along those lines. Even spiritual retreats or charitable pursuits, or just really withdrawing from the world kind of thing for a while and spending some time in solitude can have some really good positive results for you now, Capricorn. And even the 12th house also ruins our rules, our dreams. And so, you can even get some sort of powerful positive messages through your dreams. And so, as I said, this is the house of the unseen, of what's hidden. And that's where the help and the nurturing and the good fortune can come from for you right now. So, interesting stuff, Capricorn. All right, Aquarius, moving on to you. Aquarius, all of this is happening in your 11th house. So Ceres is bringing that nurturing feel over the next 10 months to this life area, and over the next kind of week, that good fortune and growth and abundance and optimism can be sparked through your friendships, through any groups that you're associated with, social networks, even online, membership in groups, associations. This can have to do with your hopes and dreams for the future. Like, the big picture vision can be really optimistic and positive right now. So there's good, positive, nurturing energy in that life area for you, Aquarius. And then Pisces, this is happening in your 10th house. So there's a sense of nurturing and growth and good luck through your career, Pisces, through your reputation, your public reputation, your ambitions, your status, your relationship to authority. So this can be like a new job or good luck and growth, through your career, in your career. You get a raise or a promotion or something that gets you seen in public. Something that enhances your reputation. You can be seen as an authority or just have some beneficial connections with people in authority right now as well. Okay, so that is all 12 signs. And, I feel like this was a good thing to focus on because I think that we could use a little uplifting right now after this intensity of the eclipses. And so hopefully that's some good news for all of you. And I hope you have a really, nurturing week. And I will talk to you all next week. And if you want to get in touch, all the links are below. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.